Future Ben here. Just wanted to add a little caveat. This game is about Zaibatsus. And after playing this game, I don't know any part of this that is actually related to the history of Zaibatsus. For those of you that don't know what a Zaibatsu is, and I'm guessing most people, Zaibatsus are giant legacy corporations. They were created around the Meiji time, from what I understand, in Japan, the Meiji Restoration, and they are a response to the mass industrialization of Japan. Now, that part fits the game Nippon. The part that doesn't fit is the history of why the Zaibatsus were so powerful and what they really did. There's three surviving Zaibatsus, as I recall: Mitsubishi, Sumitomo Bank, and Masude, I think. It's a shipping company. Everyone knows Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi's roots are industrialism. They're also an ancient samurai clan. I don't think the clan was called Mitsubishi, but their logo, and same with Sumitomo Bank, is the mon from a samurai clan. And the Zaibatsus basically did what the emperor said. They ran the war machine. And they did everything in their power to industrialize Japan rapidly. The rapid growth of Japan in the 19th century, or I guess 20th century, was due to the Zaibatsus. That being said, the Zaibatsus were monopolies themselves. They were monsters. Mitsubishi is a good example. They still run this way. Allegedly, the Zaibatsus are gone, so go figure. But Mitsubishi didn't just make whatever product. They made the components for said product. They ran these giant factory-like cities where if they needed glass, they had a foundry to make glass, steel, whatever components that went to it. They had 100% quality control. And because it was clan-owned, they had the backing, the loyalty, and the power to continue that. It was basically a one-man show or empire within an empire. An industrial empire, I guess. But that's what Zaibatsus are. In Nippon, it doesn't feel like you're a Zaibatsu because you're not making a bunch of components to make other components and having a monopoly over things. Everyone's fighting over kind of the same factory production. So it's a little weird. Now, I'm not a complete and total expert on the Zaibatsus. They're very limited. This is just what I know hearing when I was younger in the rumor mills and some Japanese history gee whiz stuff. But this game, when it says Zaibatsu, I don't think these guys actually know how critically important they were to Japan when they were industrializing. That's my soapbox. I'm going to get off it now. Hello. I have for you Nippon. This is the Emperor Edition. I've taken off the wrapping, I've read the manual, but I haven't done any repack or order or anything. And I left it this way because I wanted to show you this box. This gap. This is normal if you got the Emperor Edition. I read somewhere that this was on Kickstarter. I haven't really looked, but it's pretty much the same thing except it's missing metal coins. This box for its size is fairly light, which is a little concerning since it's about $100, but $100 for a game of this size is actually, I think, a pretty good deal. And it looks like it's a Space Hog, but it doesn't seem that bad. But the reason is because of all the tokens. I'm not sure if the cardboard version of this is also stacked up, but they created this nice little box to hold all the wooden tokens. And then this is all the cardboard components. We have this beautiful rule book. It's not anything special, I just really like this type of shade of green. The fact that they also did the inside, I like that shade. I was impressed with these. A full breakdown dinner menu system that every player gets. I wish more games went and did stuff like this. Food Chain Magnet's another one. But the coloring and shading is very beautiful. We have recessed player boards, big boards, very easy to read. I like this. And we have this little leather bag. And I believe it's real leather. It feels very nice. It is kind of small, but it's used for putting workers in and drawing them out, so I guess it does its job. And then one thing I always enjoy, a very good insert. quick and easy for players to set up. Just give everyone their stuff, good to go. Token trays. Yes, this satisfies my insane desire to have good organization in a game if you bought it. It comes with the insert sheet, breaks down everything, very nice. This board, it's not that big. Compared to the box size, it's really not that big. But we have Japan here. Or realistically, this way for the rest of the world. And I like the coloring. I like the goldness. As far as it plays, I haven't played it yet, but from what I understand, this is considered one of the better Euros out there. Pure skill, no luck. So I'm going to organize and pack up everything and then play the game and give you my thoughts on the initial playthrough. Welcome back. Here we have Nippon repackaged. And I am actually really happy to say that I should show this first. The box does lay flat. The top is a little bit bulged, and I don't know if it's due to the foam and the weather. There are some things, such as this not fitting perfectly in. We have our packing diagram. We have our book. The book definitely doesn't hold up to scrutiny. I've been flipping through this. I've played this a few times when I started this video, just to get some ideas on how this game is. But these menus, there isn't really a good spot for them to just lay flat. I suppose you could kind of lay two out at a time. We have the Autonoma board. This is an add-on module, and I didn't know this until I checked on it, but in the Imperial Edition, this version, this modular board is an extra. It's not included with the base game, and this allows just some in-game scoring objectives. I don't know if it really matters that much. I haven't tried it yet. I haven't had the need to. But it's nice that it includes this as optional scoring stuff to add some variety to gameplay. Here's our board. Here we got our Zaibatsu boards. They do fit very well. They're kind of snug though, so they're kind of difficult to slide in. And now we have our components. Every one of these trays, I love this. And this is what I've always wanted games to do, is just give the player a tray and they can get going and get set up. Superb. Problem is that these trays really don't function for gameplay. I was actually hoping they'd be a storage center where you grab your tokens, but you need them to put your components in these recessed slots. And then below we have our two resource trays. I really do like the idea of these resource trays because you can put them between two people and you don't have to reach across the table to grab stuff. The only caveat is I kind of wish they numbered in the plastic at how much of each component would be there, so 50-50 you can count and do real quick. And that's a tiny, tiny nitpick, since I can just write it with Sharpie. But it's something to consider. The worker meeples are all in this leather bag. They fit here. Not much of an issue. The leather is a little stiff, so you're going to have to kind of force it down. But we have our randomizer tokens that all fit here. Recessed, easy to get out. We have our little score, or round trackers. For here, I wish that with the... There's 3 sets of tokens here. Apparently. Maybe less now. I was trying to show that these 3 sets of tokens, you're going to have to grab the whole stack out, and you're going to use all the tokens. My thing is that, depending on player count, you don't need to take out the whole stack and thumb through it. I just wish there was an individual slot for each of the 6 tokens. As for expert workers, you're going to grab all 6 of these guys, so that doesn't really matter. We have our randomizer goods tile, I guess that's what it's called. And then we have our factory tiles. Now in the regular game, there's only 4 of each set of factory tiles. But in the Imperial Edition, or Emperor's Edition, you're going to get an extra set of these 5 tiles. These are kind of important. I forgot to mention too with the randomizer tokens too. You're only going to get 5 sets. In the Imperial Edition, Emperor's Edition, you're going to get 8 sets of the randomizers and the extra factories and this endgame scoring board. I kind of feel like the Emperor's Edition is the better deal to get. The price difference, I think, was only $20. The main differences are, besides getting some extra endgame component stuff, is the tiles or tokens are heat treated. Hopefully, they'll last. And it comes with these trays. And for the $20 extra, I do think it's worth it. Sadly, nothing under here, but at least they colored the inside of the box. I've been doing some research on this game, and I know it's a reprint, but I did not know this was on Kickstarter. And with Kickstarter, it came with metal money tokens. There was an option to buy a rollout mat, and I'm going to do some plugging for Crow D. If you have the Emperor's Edition and you want the metal coins, Crow D still has them on their website. They also have the mat. Now, that being said, there is an expansion in the works coming out, I believe, June. It's going to come live on Kickstarter. And because it's Kickstarter, I almost guarantee that the mat and the coins are going to be included with that. So, if you're patient and you wait, you like the game, and you're going to buy the expansion anyways, I would just wait till then. Now, that being said, I believe they did a phenomenal job with this. My only concern is, now that I know an expansion's coming out, will it be able to fit in this box? There's some space, but my guts tell me no. And so far, from what I've seen in the expansion, it doesn't add too much. It just adds some more starting stuff, kind of like Terraforming Mars. But overall, I'm very happy with the thoughtfulness and design placed into storage, getting the game set up. Very good job with Crow D. The art and the quality components, great. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of the game. Okay, I'm going to do this a little bit different just because Nippon is a little bit odd in how it works. The game itself is very simple. As you can see, this is the little player handbook / menu, I like to call it. This is our turn summary. Each turn, you must perform an action or make a consolidation. As an action, choose an action, take a worker, pay each activation and apply the corresponding effects. Okay, that's pretty simple. And then we have consolidation. Consolidation, with at least one worker in your workers area, take a favor token next to the topmost worker or lower in the worker area. Discard all your money and all your coal. Then you're going to gain your department bonus and income and coal. You will then pay the salaries and return workers. Spend $3 for each different colored worker, including expert workers, in your worker area. Payment of the salaries is mandatory, but you must not spend your last 1,000 yen. Lose 1 point for each 1,000 yen you have to pay, but cannot, including the last. Then return all expert workers to their dedicated space as all standard workers to the bags. At the end of the game, final consolidation, players simultaneously make a consolidation even if they have no workers in their workers area, and you'll do final scoring. Your personal objectives will earn you points for each personal objective with a favor token depending on that token's level. Scoring threshold is reached. Resources, goods, and money earn 1 point for every 3 of goods you have a total. Earn 1 point for every 5,000 yen you have. And then a little note, any moment during your turn, you may convert 1 silk to 1,000 yen. Here we have all our icons. A red bundle of cloth is silk. Money is just the green chit, but they do come in brown or orange and green and purple. Coal, pretty obvious. Goods, they're just crates, and there's a reason for that we'll get into. Iron, and victory points. The symbology is very straightforward. White icons with the number, like advance on the R&D track, the number of spaces shown. And then red is a penalty, move back. On the finance track, the number of spaces is shown. Red is basically a cost. White is basically a gain. And then we have the gain the department bonus is shown. It's going to show that resource in the brown box icon with the check mark. And then the open brown box with the check mark is a department of your choice. It's basically a wild. And then we have that little 3 with the X. take influence token shown from your Zaibatsu and add it to your supply. That's a special thing that's kind of odd. This is the layout of the factory tile. We have the R&D requirement, factory effect, factory level and number, type of factory and goods produced, production cost, basic quality of goods produced, machine spaces, cost of machine placement and benefits of machines built, increased production. We will get into that later. And then we have 6 types of factories that are divided into 3 levels. The level 1 factories, cotton factories and paper factories, they require R&D level 2 to build and 2 coal to produce. Level 2, bento factories and lens factories, R&D level 4 and 3 coal to produce. And then level 3, bulb factories and clock factories, R&D level 6 to build and 4 coal to produce. Here we have effects, and these are basically actions on the board. This is pretty handy to have if people can't see it, especially if they're playing, looking at the board from Australia's point of view. We have build a factory. Choose an available factory, meet its R&D requirements, place chosen factory in the factory's area of your Zaibatsu, apply the factory's immediate effect, and you may temporarily increase your R&D level by paying 1 silk plus your R&D level. Now you are R&D level 2. You can pay 3 silk to add 2 to your R&D level, or 6 silk to add 3 to your R&D level. And due to how it's printed, it's not going to go higher than that. So hypothetically, if you had 12 silk, you're not going to go up 4 points in R&D. Then we have build a machine. It's a little gear wrench icon. Choose your factory which has at least 1 empty machine space. Place your leftmost machine in the chosen factory. Pay additional costs if any. Clarify that later in the video. We have our produce action. Choose your factory to produce in. Spend 2, 3, or 4 coal to produce 1, 2, or 3 level factory. Add 1 basic crate as a production and 1 for each machine. Place produce crates below the respective factory tile. Then we have build a ship. Choose a destination which has an expert worker token. Place your leftmost ship in the chosen destination. Take the expert worker token from the destination. Place the upgraded department token from that destination. There is a caveat that should have been added to this part. I don't know why, but when you take the expert worker, you must have space for them. You cannot take them as your 6th action because you cannot place. Another thing that is important, when you are placing a ship, you must place it in a location that has an expert worker. And you will not be able to gain the upgraded department token if you've already gone to a place that you already have a department token from. We have build train. Choose a region on the main board. Place your leftmost train on the train space in the chosen region. Gain the bonus shown space, if any. That's actually very simple, very straightforward. Then we have fulfill contract. Choose an available contract. Gain the bonus shown on the chosen contract token. And place the fulfilled contract at the bottom of your Zaibatsu. The contracts are a little bit odd, and we'll get into more detail about that. Probably the most complicated and difficult thing to understand is the serve the local market. Choose an appropriate influence space in any local market in one region. Spend 1 to 3 crates of the type shown on the adjacent side of the demand tile. Place available influence token with appropriate value in the chosen influence space. And then you will gain the respective region bonus. 2 silk, 2 iron, 2 coal, 3 money, or 2 points. Now, our actions. Activation, spend 1, 3, or 6 money to move your R&Ds that many spaces. Same with mining. Factories, spend 6,000 yen to buy a factory. Doesn't matter what level factory, they're all the same cost for some reason. Machines, you can do this up to 3 times, but you must be in different factories. Spend 5,000 to place a machine from your board. Very strong ability, very expensive ability. Production, it is the same as the machines, just the difference is you're going to be spending coal, which is listed on your factory tiles. Very pricey in coal. Ship activation, you may basically buy up to 3 ships, place them, get their bonus by spending iron or iron and money to build a ship. Trains, they're the same as ships. Investment contracts, this activation, spend 1 to 6 up to 3 different types of goods to gain either 2 income or complete a contract. And then your local markets, 1 to 3 activations in one region. That's pretty much all the actions in the game. This is our player board. It's pretty straightforward. One of the things that's really important, and I've taught and played this game now 3 times with different people, this is the thing that confuses people a lot, is the colored workers. You don't get stuff when you place a worker. This is what you get when you consolidate. And the important thing is, these gray markers do not get these actions. As I stated earlier, this brown background, when you place a colored worker here and you consolidate, you will get this bonus depending on what worker is here, and then whatever your highest worker is from 4 up. On top of that, you'll also be able to take one of these like little loyalty tokens. And what these are, these tokens, if you have a worker at the top spot, you'll take the token and you'll slot it. And that means this row will now be scoreable at end game. If for some reason you run off all your tokens, because there's only 3 of each, and you're at the top spot, you can collect the next one below it or the one below that. You just have to be equal to or less than your highest placed worker. But the neat thing about consolidation is, if you had a yellow worker here, you would get 2 points. If you had 2 yellow workers, well, you're only going to get that bonus once. But if you have a yellow worker and let's say a gray worker, you'll get 2 points and 2 steel when you consolidate as a bonus. It's a really neat system, and I like that because it actually helps you plan some stuff. Now, some of the other weird caveats. This top row is for your ships, these little wonderful tokens. You'll notice that there is this one here. What that means is you're going to move along the investment track 1 step. But you have to put a boat and a machine out, or a train and a machine. And if you put all 3 out, you get both the actions. And they're all linked through that way. Another bizarre thing is this. At the end of the game, when you score, you're going to score points based on what tokens here, and you can see these symbols, and someone told me these are flowers, so it's a bud, it's budding, and it's a full-bloom flower. If I only placed 1 boat at end game, I will score no points. If I place 2 boats, I'm going to score 10 points because I have this token. If I had the budding token, it would be 8, and if I had the bud, it would be 5. Not until I get to here do I score 20, 16, or 10, depending on what token's there. And that's pretty much the same for all of these. In these areas where it's the 3-row slot, again, if you land on it or pass it, you will get the bonus. The bottom here, we have the factory row and our contracts. When contracts are completed, you will place them down here, and just like before, you're going to place that. If you only did 1 contract, it scores nothing. So build out your most. Bin max as much as you can. This is pretty much the standard setup for your game board. You don't have to put these tokens out here. You have 3 of each stack. It's just easier to do. Hence why I have it this way. Your contracts, as long as they're accessible and you can see them, it doesn't really matter where they are on the board. You're going to have actions, as stated earlier in the game, where you're going to be placing boats, machines, and trains. You also have your R&D go up. You'll notice that you have this little coal icon, and what that means is you're going to do this activation, which is get 2 coal, or if you have an improvement token, you'll get whatever numbers have been replaced. This little icon with the 3 means that this 3x thing will be added to your pool. You can now play an extra 3 tokens. Same here, but now it's 5 and 7. And it recommends that you put them over here so you don't get confused, because these are actually very important. Here we have mining. You will get iron based on whatever your production is. Same here. This little icon over here, this is you'll get 2 points. And then you hit the wall. There's nothing left. Same with the factories. You're going to build left to right. Contracts, you're going to place left to right. Placing boats and machines, left to right. Very, very straightforward. But wait, there's more. During setup, you will have these tiles. You will have an A and B tile, and you will take and make a set per player plus 1. The A tile is going to usually give you a point bonus and a special ability, and they're all unique. And this is where the game kind of gets weird. The B tile. Depending on what B tile is under the A tile, you can do some really gross starting hand combos. But the B tile is usually some type of resource and other bonuses. You're going to start the game with 2 coal, 9 money, and move your income up by 2, and start with 2 silk. Or, it could have been like this. The possibilities are endless. And during setup with how you want stuff, it's really important what you pick, because that's going to influence your play. Here's how we have the standard setup. Imagine if it was for 2 players. I'm only setting up stuff for 1 player. I'm setting it up for 2 players, except I'm not setting up the second player board. We're going to have 1 factor per player, hence why I've just put out 1 of each. These were randomly placed out and rotated. We're going to put 3 workers at the spot at the top, and these are the action things I was talking about earlier. And then we have this little special overflow worker pool. You will place workers there in their spot. 4 players, you get 1 worker down there. And it's an important weird activation thing. I've already chosen my starting tile set, which is a boat and the income of coal. Immediately off the bat, I will get 8 points, which seems very strong. I am not sure if the higher the points are, the worse the ability is, because there is a 15-point token in there, and that ability isn't very good compared to some of these other ones that are lower. But before everyone starts, I get to place a boat. When placing a boat, I will place them, I will take the expert worker, and I will take this improvement tile. And I chose this because it's silk. It's 2, but now it will be 3 from my bonus. And then I have to take the expert worker and place him to the lowest open spot. Usually what happens is you will do the boat action and you'll take a worker and you'll slot them. But in this case, I'll do that. Then I get my 2 coal, my 12,000 yen, which money hasn't seemed to have been an issue for the amount of tokens in this game because you're always spending money, my 1 iron, and my 2 silk. And then the other player would pick, and then we'll proceed like so. So my options and actions. Here, factory action, you see that 1x. I can build a factory for 6,000 yen, but I have to meet the R&D requirements. Sorry, it should be 1 space back. Here is the cost, R&D level 2. I can't build that. Things I can do. I can spend the silk to temporarily raise my R&D level 1 by 1. So I would have a 2, except I'd be really at 1. And I can spend 3 to raise it 2 levels, and then 6 to raise it 3 levels, which is very pricey. That's one of the options I can do. But let's say I did that. I spent that and my 6,000, and I bought this paper factory. The lightning bolt icon is an instantaneous effect. Here, I can raise my income immediately by 2. But let's just say I bought this somehow with my R&D level. This action icon is basically going to trigger when I do this action. And the iconography does matter a lot. Every time I do the mining action, I will gain 2 iron. A very strong tile. But back to my original plan. I take the tile and place it like so. It's now on my board. And I had to take a red worker. Then my next action, I will build a machine, I guess. I will take this gray worker, spend the 5,000, and I will take the machine off my board, and I'll place it in the open space to the left. Now that this is connected, I can raise my income by 1. Then, let's say I will produce or manufacture goods. We have this icon right here. I can do this up to 3 times at 3 different factories. I only have 1, sadly, but because I have the machine, place this worker here now, spend my 2 coal for the activation, and I will now get 1 good per the factory and per machine. And I will place my goods here. There's only spots for 4 of them. Seems weird that you can make 3, but there's some reasoning to it. I don't know if it's great. Now let's do some jank stuff. I will take this worker here as my 5th action, and I will trade in 1 trade good to fulfill a contract or move my income up by 2. These contract tiles. The only 2 tiles that have a prerequisite on what you spend in your materials is lenses and bento boxes or watches and bulbs. I have neither of those. I can't do those contracts. But amazingly, I can do these contracts. And I can pick any one of them. And what they do is they're going to give me the bonus for this row. Now, you see I got that 3 there. If I do this right now, I'd complete this. I would immediately get 3 silk. But I'm short on cash right now. And I don't see any really good options for me. So I guess I will raise my R&D level? No. I think I will take the steel. So I spent my good. I complete 1. If I had 2 goods from another factory, I could spend that to do another contract and another factory not of the same type. So you can't spend 3 paper factory to do 2 actions. I'll take my contract, flip it over, place it, and I will gain the 2 steel. Now, why would I do that? Well, there's going to be some fun reasoning to that. As my 6th action, I will take another gray worker, and I will spend the 3 steel to build a boat. I can't build a boat. Never mind. That was a bad idea. That was my final action. I'm going to spend 3 steel then to take a blue worker, place it in my 6th spot, and I will place a train. When you place the train on these locations that are open that have the printed thing, you're going to gain the resource immediately. Now, you think money would be good, but I can't place any more workers, and money gets discarded. Not going to do that. Same with coal, not worth it. But we have iron and silk still. So I'll place it there. I'll take the iron. Now, as my 7th action, I have no more free spaces for workers. I must do the consolidate action. And consolidate works like this. Money and coal, discarded. Cool. Gain my section bonus. This worker, being at the top, is blue. Oh, I also have to place my favor first. And it looks like I'm doing really good up here, so I'm just going to put it up here. Now I'll do my favor, or my department bonus. The blue worker is going to give me 3,000. And then the red worker, this is an expert worker from the ship, still considered a colored worker, he's red. He's going to trigger with 3 silk. And then we're going to do our payouts of coal and income. I get 2 coal, and I get another 13,000 yen, which sounds like a great deal. And this is where the game gets tricky. I have 3 different colored workers. I have 2 red workers, 3 gray workers, and a blue worker. I must now pay them 3,000 each. That's 9,000 I had to make in payments, and I have 7,000 left for me to spend for the next round. I will return the expert worker. All my other workers will go back to the bag, and that is my 7th action. And this mechanic is going to go round and round and round. Now for my 8th action, I now have a little bit more cash, but I have more resources. We will spend another silk and 6,000. We're going to build this little cotton factory, and I take the worker and put it in a low spot. Now how this triggers is, at any time a top row is empty, you will take the 3 top reserve workers and place them there. And you'll continue that until you're out. Next action, let's say I take this yellow worker, and I'm going to place one of my tokens. And this market is very strange. This kind of confuses some people. You start the game with a 1, 2, 3 token, and a 4, 5, and 6. These tokens restrict your goods from paper to cotton. Paper and cotton products, the 1 marker will cost 1 crate, the 2 marker will cost 2, and the 3 marker will cost 3. That's pretty straightforward. Then we get to lenses and bento boxes. We have the 3 starting up here. Then it goes 4, 5, 6. Same order. 3 is 1 crate, 4 is 2 crates, 5 is 3. And then we have watches and lenses. 5 is for 1 crate, 6 is for 2, and 7 is for 3. It can get pretty pricey with your goods that you have. Now, what do I do with this? You'll see numbers printed on the board. That doesn't matter. That is only when we actually score points. But I have to choose a region where I can actually use the good, which was paper, and place it. I can place it up here, 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 and that's about it. It's really limiting on my options. If I place in this region, I can get $3 or 2 points. If I place in this region, I can get $2 or 2 points, or 2 coal or 2 points. In this region, 2 iron or 2 points. And it looks like I kind of want to get some free iron. It also helps because every train you have will add 2 to the total as long as you have an influence marker there. Right now I have 3 influence versus the foreign market, which I believe it's 12 minus 2, so it's 10. So I'm 3 to 10 right now. Not great odds. But this allows me to immediately get my 2 iron. Now let's say for some reason I had 3 crates. And this is explained in the rulebook. I thought it was really janky. The demand marker of a 1, you have to exceed that number. So I could place a 2 over my 1 if I had 2 more crates, and then I would get 2 more iron. Every time you place a demand marker, you will get that region bonus, which seems very disgusting. And when it says do the region action, it's only talking about one of these 4 quadrants. It's not the whole map of Japan. Now my next action, look, I got all this iron. But you've seen how much it costs using different color workers. I gotta take a hit. I can consolidate right now, but I'll lose my coal and my money, but I'll have all these extra resources. Or is it better to place out stuff? And honestly, I kind of feel like it is. Here, I will actually probably take the white meeple, and I will place a boat by spending 3 iron. Take said boat. Well, obviously blue's in a good spot, so I'll put that there. Take the bonus, place my expert worker there, and now I've changed my income bonus from 3 to 5. So that's pretty good. And honestly, I'm in a good spot now because I can consolidate and get the bonuses, and I'll only be paying for 3 colors. Or I could get greedy. My 12th action now. It's a dangerous spot because money is tight in this game. I can take the white worker and spend 1,000, or I can take the yellow worker, which looks very tempting. I'm going to get the money anyway, so I'll take the yellow worker, I guess. I'll take the yellow worker, spend the 2 coal, and get my wonderful factories going. I don't have 4 coal, so I can't activate both factories, but I'll activate the more efficient one. And then, as my last action, I might as well, because it's the same, take the yellow worker, place him here. I will spend the 2 resources because I have to place a 2 token out. And honestly, I just want the iron, so I will replace my 1, which now frees up my 1 and it goes back into my pool so I can play it again and collect my 2 iron. This immediately empties and fills. Now the overflow workforce is empty. The next spot that has to be refilled is going to trigger this round marker moving forward. But I'm consolidating. So yellow, I have 1,000. I toss that. I take the yellow bonus, gives me 2 points. I take the money bonus of 5,000. I am producing 2 coal still and 13,000. So there is my payout. I had to pay 3 different colored workers. Again, 9,000 apiece. Those all go back, and this goes here. Now, as my 13th action, let's just say I'm crazy, and I do this. I'll take the black maple, and I'm just going to spend the 6,000 to go up my R&D by 3 steps. It's going to land on this coal marker. My coal bonus is 2. I get 2 more coal. That is the end of my turn. At the end of your turn, if there's no workers in the overflow, you will advance the round marker. You will place a worker in every spot that has less than 3, and you will refill the overflow. And it continues on like that. These numbers down here actually represent when you have to trigger and this actually crosses the line. When this crosses the line, you're going to collect points in the region. Collecting points in the region, you'll go down each region. I have no influence here. The foreign market has 12. They'll automatically score 10 points. It's not marked anywhere to track them because they don't matter. It matters when we're playing with other players. This region, I will get 8 points because I can't beat the foreign market's 10. Here I get nothing, and here I get nothing. And every player will do this when that happens. And then we go to the next round. Once we cross the second threshold, we'll repeat all the other stuff, but the player who triggered it will take this token, and that's why it's there. And now the game is only 3 rounds left. So when it comes back to my action, it's going to go 1 space over, comes to my action again, goes 1 space over, again, and then we do final endgame scoring. We will score the regions, and then we'll score our bonuses. Here I have 10 points, since I crossed the line. I should have placed this out somewhere, but it doesn't really matter because nothing's going to score. And you add everything up, and that's the game. I have read that this game is very punishing. This game has a lot of mechanics going on, and it's very unique. Now, I asked my buddy who plays a lot of Euros and asked him if he's ever played a game where you had to discard all your resources and then pay out from your actual income that you get at that turn. And he was saying there's something, but he can't remember. For a lot of this reminds me of Yokohama, and I'm not sure if it's because it's a Japanese-looking board game. Yokohama had a lot more depth and strategy of blocking. This is very streamlined, but there is a lot of things going on that you have to plot. And what it makes it really feel like is you're being pulled from all directions. The major scoring options are really the regions from placing your influence. That being said, your token pool is very limited. As you saw earlier, you only have that 1/1 for paper or cotton. And I could have done something like that with the cotton, placed 1 crate there. And that's fine. And I could have done the 3 and placed that there. Now the problem is, if I want to just spend 1 crate on glasses or bento, I have to actually unlock my 3rd token, which I have to get my R&D up higher. And this is where the balance comes in the game. You're always going against the foreign market. And I think that's a good thing because people who just will put everything out will just score massively with that advantage. But it's very difficult to beat the foreign market's 12. And in this type of game, some points is better than no points, which is very difficult because at the end, when you're adding up everything, and once you put these favor tokens, that choice is locked. So you should stick with your objectives. But with more players, the likelihood of events triggering, the game running out of time, and people taking actions, plus maintaining the workforce is very difficult. It's a neat system, and I really like the idea of the game. I've been having a lot of fun with the game. I've only won once, and so far the game doesn't feel like luck, but it also has to be stick to your plan really well and hope no one can mess you up. Ways people can mess you up, like I said, they could take the worker to advance the round, or they could take the worker that you needed. And they might be doing it maliciously or not. Blocking off ship access, just so there is no expert worker there. There will be tokens per player, so you can't have more, you can't steal those tokens. But you can take the worker and make it so they can't take that action. It's very, very tight. Same with blocking with money, you really need that cash or coal. There's been many times where I've sat there and was like, I only need 1 more coal, I can activate 2 factories. Everything in this game is about min-maxing, and for some people it might be a little too much. For me, I enjoy it. There's also a huge race to the factories. These factories are public knowledge. Everyone knows what they are. They're also all listed in the dinner menu. All their effects. So, if someone's paying attention, they will race towards the factory to get what they need. It's a very interesting game. There is no luck here. The only luck really is these tiles. What setup do they come with? Some of the B tiles are really good on resources. And with a good A tile, it's a very, very strong start. Now, the last player will always pick the first set. It goes in reverse draft. And the first player will pick whatever's left of the 2. If you have people that don't really know, you might be able to get away with some stuff. But there's a tile that just gives you 15 points in a worker. That's not very strong. And the B tile with it. Some of the tiles just feel really unbalanced. But the game is very tight. I enjoy it a lot, and I think it's a very good game. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, just because I said the scoring system is very wonky. The management of everything, especially with the worker color meeples, because people forget, I might not be able to pay those guys and have 1,000 left. I might have to start losing points, which can be very brutal. The extra quality of life things that they did from the previous version, I haven't seen it, but I've read about it. I like those small touches. This is a very, very, very beautiful board. I love how basic but gorgeous it is with the coloring. I love this bluish green with the gold. The icons are very easy to read. The components are very good. The trays are very good. The boards are good. The boards did warp a little, and I don't know if that's just because of how dry New Mexico is. Something to keep in mind. But I was able to bend them back, and now they seem to have settled. The wood components are actually really good. I do have one that's cracked, but it's a minor issue. The bag, I really like this bag. Flat lying base, good on them. I do wish the cardboard was a little bit more heavy duty. I see it fraying over time, but that's all cardboard. The box itself, it is a large box, but it doesn't take up a lot. The game itself isn't very big. And it's not a complex game to learn how to play. It's a complex game to learn how to win. It's very analytical. For people that are very ingrained in that kind of puzzle and problem solving and min-maxing, this is a game for you. Just beware and respect other players' playtime because they might not like you sitting there 20 minutes trying to figure out how to win. Or if you play with a bunch of people like that and they're all patient, then, well, you got a better gaming group than I do. The worker management is very unique to me. It's kind of feels like Great Western Trail, but not. I don't know how to describe this. It's very different than a lot of the Euros I've played. And honestly, most of the Euros I played are huge. This is not that big. All you really have are your player boards, a little spot for these, and everything else is on the main board plus the factories, which can just extend out to here. But on my table, I can support 4 people easily. Nippon is a phenomenal game. The expansion, like I said, it's going on Kickstarter next month in June. I'm looking forward to that. If you missed out on the campaign, I'm almost certain that the Emperor's Edition will be on the Kickstarter. If you can't wait, you can get your copy, the Imperial Edition, from your local family game store. You can also get it off Crow D. Their shipping is a little high, I saw. They do sell the metal coins, which I don't know if there's enough, but it never feels like anyone's hoarding money because it all gets discarded anyways. And then the mat. When the Kickstarter happens, I'm probably going to pick up the mat, the coins with the expansion. This game is a fun time. Every time I played it, I've had fun. I want to play it again. And it's definitely in my category of like, this is a ribeye steak. This is something I always look forward to. But that's because it triggers my tism. Other than that, I'm still doing the 2026 giveaway. A lot of cool stuff that you might be able to win. Check out that video to find out more details. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and GG's.